Good morning. I'm Ray Harris. You're late. Good morning. I'm Ray Harris, your lay liturgist for today. I think now we do the opening hymn. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'll give you the script.
In the spirit of transformative powers of community in all its forms, I'm so happy to welcome you to the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. Whoever you are, wherever you live, whomever you love, whatever you do for a living, you are welcome at the Unitarian Church of Harrisburg. Whether you are a member or a visitor joining online, we are happy that you have chosen to join us this morning. An online Zoom coffee hour will follow service starting at 11:30. For those here in person, coffee hour will take place in the common room downstairs. We're happy you've chosen to join us today, and we welcome you to our fellowship hour and any other in-person online activities held by UCH.
And I want to take a moment to give you a pledge update. I know you're all eager to hear where we are on our pledge campaign, but I want to begin by saying thank you. I want to thank those of you who have already made your pledge. And where we are, we have raised $219,000, $219 and $190 from 63 pledging families. This brings us to 59% of our core goal and 56% of our wish goal. If you haven't yet made your pledge, I want to just give you two simple reasons and encouragement to do it today. The first is for yourself, because when you make your pledge, you're going to feel good about your commitment to this congregation and your relationship to your spiritual community. The second reason that I would encourage you to make your pledge today is it helps us finalize the church budget. It's a practical matter. We need to know how much money we're going to have for the coming year so that we can plan the programs and worship and everything that's really important to you all in this community. So it's easy to make your pledge. I know, I feel like one of those fund drive, you hear on the radio. But we aren't going to stop worship until you all pledge. We won't do that. So it's easy for you to make your pledge if you haven't. There are forms in a box in the lobby. You can also go to the church website and make your pledge online. It's really simple. People have attested to that for us. And our opening hymn today is When the Spirit Says Do. And my hope is that the Spirit says do. And I hope the Spirit says pledge. Let's join in song with number 1024, When the Spirit Says Do. And please rise and body your spirit.
Spirit
And Spirit says, there is nothing you need to bring with you to be welcome here. No right beliefs or proof of citizenship, no eternal optimism or clarity of conviction, no boundless courage or endless expertise. You do not need to know what brought you here or how you will solve that problem you are turning over and over and over in your mind. You do not need to be already perfect or even halfway to belong in this circle, where grace meets us where we are, but does not leave us as it found us, where love resides in each of us, yet is somehow more than all, where life still pulses and rages and heals and transforms, creating us and this day anew once again. Come, let us worship together. Come, let us light our chalice.
My name is Karen Sykes, and I'm filling in for Corey Ness, who's off today. I'll be reading a story called Giraffes Can't Dance. And I brought one of my favorite giraffes. Actually, this is our dog Charlie's giraffe. And his name is Gerald. And the important part is Gerald is in this story. And the other important part is that Gerald was my dad's first name. I'll leave it at that. He couldn't dance either. Okay, here we go. Gerald was a tall giraffe whose neck was long and slim, but his knees were awfully crooked and his legs were rather thin. He was very good at standing still and munching shoots off trees. But when he tried to run around, he buckled at the knees. Now, every year in Africa, they hold the jungle dance, where every single animal shows up to skip and prance. This year, when the day arrived, poor Gerald felt so sad because when it came to dancing, he was really very bad. The warthogs started waltzing, and the rhinos rocked and rolled. The lions danced a tango that was elegant and bold. The chimps all did the cha-cha-cha with a very Latin feel, and 8 baboons then teamed up for a splendid Scottish reel. George swallowed bravely as he walked toward the floor. But the lions saw him coming, and soon they began to roar. "Hey, look at clumsy Gerald," the animals all sneered. "Giraffes can't dance, you silly fool. Oh, Gerald, you're so weird." Gerald simply froze up. He was rooted to the spot. "They're right," he thought. "I'm useless. Oh, I feel like such a clot." So he crept off the dance floor and he started walking home. He'd never felt so sad before, so sad and so alone. Then he found a little clearing and he looked up to the sky. "The moon can be so beautiful," he whispered with a sigh. "Excuse me," coughed a cricket who'd seen Gerald earlier on, "but sometimes when you're different, you just need a different song." Listen to the swaying grass and listen to the trees. To me, the sweetest music is those branches in the breeze. So imagine that the lovely moon is playing just for you. Everything makes music if you really want it to. With that, the cricket smiled and picked up his violin. And then Gerald felt his body do the most amazing thing. His hooves started shuffling, making circles on the ground. His neck was gently swaying, and his tail was swishing around. He threw his legs out sideways, and he swung them everywhere. Then he did a backward somersault and leaped up into the air. Gerald felt so wonderful, his mouth was open wide. "I'm dancing! Yes, I'm dancing! I am dancing!" Gerald cried. Then one by one, each animal who'd been there at the dance arrived while Gerald boogied on and watched him, quite entranced. They shouted, "It's a miracle! We must be in a dream! Gerald's the best dancer that we'd have ever seen." "How did you learn to dance like that? Please, Gerald, tell us how." But Gerald simply twirled around and he finished with a bow. Then he raised his head and looked up at the moon and stars above and said, "We can all dance when we find music that we love." Thank you.
Shining Morning, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Kevin Geist, and I've been a member of this church since about the turn of the millennium. I have also been a wanderer in the wilderness for 40 years, but I see the promised land on the horizon. And by that, I mean that my retirement approacheth. And for those of you that don't know Andy and I, we have had some pretty awesome adventures in recent years. Last year we went out west and I planned a month-long vacation in the Four Corners region, and every day was a beautiful hike. It never rains out there. There's problems with that, but when you're on vacation, that makes for a great vacation. And I understand why people get red rock fever and move out west. And for those of you that don't know me, I've always been a Francophile. I've always had this dream of learning to speak French. And until the pandemic, it was largely that. But in the pandemic, I discovered online a bunch of French men who were interested in learning English. And we did an exchange where I taught them English, they taught me French. We became friends, and they invited Andy and I to their homes, and in 4 different regions of France, we got to live with a French family, meet their wives, their friends, do things locally with them, have conversations. For me, it was a dream come true. And I'd talk to these friends, and I'd say, how could I integrate into society here? And they'd say, well, let me get you the contact for the enclave of the American British. No, I do not have to leave the United States if I want to remain an Anglophone. It's right here for me. What I want is, how do I get into society? And then they began going through the list of, well, there's these different clubs for hiking and skiing, and you could do these social clubs that help improve the lives of different people in different groups. I'm like, yeah, but I'm looking for something like, and what I realized is what I'm looking for is not something that is just there everywhere, not something that every society has held on to in a way that we have. So even if I left in the United States and went somewhere else, we've been through a lot together. We have been through better. We have been through a time of growth and excitement, and the congregation, the sanctuary was filled twice a day with different people, and there was just so many. And we've also been through worse. We've been through years of strife, of turnover, of difficulty. We've been through a lot together. So in sickness and in health, and in richer or poorer, we have stuck it out. So I realized that if I were to do any of those adventures, this is a treasure I couldn't count on finding just anywhere. So I'm imagining people who have been here as long as I have already pledged or know what they're going to pledge. They are going to pledge. But if you're new, and if you're wondering if we are a serious community, seriously dedicated to supporting each other, I can tell you we are. So please do pledge. Please do the things that our Reverend Fees had said are necessary for our programs in our church to function throughout the year. Then we will know what we have to work with. So, thank you.
Kevin? Let me just back up a second here. I'm Ray Harris, and I'm serving with the leadership of the service today. Our service leader would be the Reverend Dr. Sandra Fees. Our music ministries director is Yvonne Duvall. The service accompanist today is Dr. Elizabeth Tisdale. Our audiovisual technician is David Spear. Head usher is Dorothy Brown. And the bassist is James Henry Voss. And I have a reading that I'd like to present to you today. It's by a writer by the name of Anne Lamont. Here's how to break through and become a person of life-giving risk. Make a lot of mistakes, fall on your butt more often, waste more paper printing out messy first drafts, and maybe send a check to the Sierra Club. Celebrate messes. These are where the goods are. Put something on the calendar that you know you'll be terrible at, like a dance lesson, or a meditation retreat or boot camp. Find a writing partner who will help you with your work by reading it for you and telling you the truth about it. With respect, to help you make it better and better, and for whom you'll do the same thing. Find someone who wants to steal their life back too, now, today. Excuse me. One wild and crazy thing, wear shorts out in public if it's hot, even if you don't like the way your legs look. Go to a poetry slam. Go to an open mic and read the story you wrote about the hilarious, god-awful family reunion with a trusted friend, even though it could be better and would hurt your Uncle Ed's feelings if he read it, which he isn't going to do. Change the name of hair color, of his name and hair color, excuse me. He won't even recognize himself. At work, you'll begin to fulfill your artistic destiny. Wow. A reviewer may hate your style, or a newspaper may neglect you, or 500 people may tell you that you're bitter, delusional, and boring. Let me ask you this. In the big, juicy Zorba scheme of things, who cares? We're going to do now hymn 1053.
You can remain seated. How could anyone ever tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could everyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul. How could anyone tell you you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you're connected to my soul.
Anne Lamott warns us that when a person is vulnerable, someone may hate their style. Someone may reject us. People may tell us we are bitter or boring. But in the big, juicy scheme of things, Lamott asks, who cares? Who cares if someone else thinks we are weird? Well, it turns out that a lot of us seem to care an awful lot. I know I care a lot more than I like to admit. A lot of people devote a lot of energy to protecting themselves from embarrassment, from rejection, criticism, and judgment, which is understandable. Most people want to be liked, they want to fit in. But sometimes this can lead to losing track of what we really love or what we really feel called to do. In today's modern culture, there's significant pressure to cultivate a certain image. Author and speaker Courtney Martin describes this phenomenon, and she says this: "Here's what I've discovered. In a world where we are crafting our identities more conscientiously than ever before, picking particular shots of our lives to share on Instagram, liking certain posts on Facebook, it takes a certain kind of modern courage to stop crafting. To say, enough with the curation, enough with the control. I'm just going to be myself, warts and all." Well, the problem is it's possible for us to care so much about creating the right image that we lose track of what matters most to us. We can get to the point where we hold back from trying new things and taking emotional risks. And Courtney Martin encourages people to learn to show up whole. And that means letting loose of having to have so much control. Just consider the giraffe, Gerald, in our story this morning. Gerald was ridiculed for being an awkward dancer. He felt useless and sad, and he crept out alone into the woods. And there, alone in the woods, Gerald had what I call a spiritual experience. He had a transcendent experience of mystery and awe. He allowed himself to be in the moment and to dance with a freedom of spirit. Gerald stopped trying to conform to what others expected the dance to look like or him to look like. Rather than trying to live up to all of those expectations, he noticed the beauty of the moon. He listened to the swaying grass and the music of the branches in the breeze. When the other animals came upon him dancing in the woods, they were no longer laughing at him. They were amazed. They had come into the presence of something holy, a holy moment, a sacred experience of open-heartedness and full embodied presence. I imagine Gerald there in the moonlight, entranced by the music, like some whirling dervish. And don't we humans all long to be caught up in the music, in the moment? Don't we long to find ourselves swept up in a depth encounter with the divine, connected to spirit, to ourselves, to nature? I know I do. I relish those experiences. Now, this story has a happy ending, and I like a happy ending as much as the next person. The animals were amazed that Gerald is now a fabulous dancer. But I'm not really sure that's the happy part. What if the happy ending has to do with Gerald accepting that he's different and finding a way to honor that difference as beautiful? What if the happy ending is that Gerald no longer feels sad or alone or awkward? What if the happy ending is that we, you and I, are entranced by Gerald not because he dances perfectly or according to some cultural standard, but because he has embodied the music of life, the spirit of life? What if the happy ending is that Gerald has touched the spark of worth and dignity and in himself and in all of creation? I want to be more like Gerald. Don't you? Don't you? I want to have more of those holy moments of vulnerability and openness. And the truth is that we can. And I want to share a few simple possibilities for you of how you might practice vulnerability. Tell an uncomfortable truth. Ask for help. Stand up for yourself or someone else. Go on a first date after a breakup. Admit when you are afraid or lonely. Own up to a mistake. Tell someone you love them. Try something new you thought you would not be very good at. Say no rather than agreeing to do something just to appease someone else. Befriend someone. Give voice to a dream you have for your future that you thought would not be well received. Those are just a few possibilities. And after I reread that list, I realized that I have done everything on it. I'm guessing some of you have as well. I've done some of those more than once, and most of them still make me feel uncomfortable or awkward. I still have trouble asking for help. I worry about being rejected, and sometimes rejection happens. But here's the thing. Who cares? Well, many of us do, right? And we ought to care. We ought to care, but not in order to shut ourselves down, not in order to avoid being vulnerable, but because opening ourselves up, even when it hurts, even when the result hurts, is the pathway to more joy, more freedom, more wholeness. It is also the pathway to more connection, to more experiences of belonging and human kinship. In an article by Marissa Franco about how to make friends as an adult, she notes that vulnerability is a key step in deepening connections. And she writes this. She says, to make true friends, you have to share things about yourself and ask people questions so that they share about themselves too. You don't have to share whatever you might tell a therapist, but deepest, darkest secrets aside, you still have much to share. Tell people what your passions are, how you spend your free time, or what you're looking forward to, and ask them for the same. Studies have found that when strangers are getting to know one another, the more they share about themselves, the more they end up liking each other. If you're looking for ways to deepen your connections, Franco says, vulnerability is the way forward. This seems so obvious, we ought not even need to talk about it, but of course we do. To deepen connections, vulnerability is the way forward. Now, a person doesn't need to share their deepest, darkest secrets, the stuff you might share with a therapist or minister, nor is that the best approach. But we do need to share ourselves. Thandayaka, any of you recognize that name, Thandayaka? She's an ordained Unitarian Universalist minister and theologian, and she once shared a story that I've never forgotten. She calls it a lonely soul in community. Thandayaka was talking to a New England congregation about forming small groups of 6 to 10 people to share experiences and deepen their spirituality, like the kind of small groups this congregation and many of our UU congregations now have. And after presenting this idea, she asked if the congregation would be interested in such a program. One of the most respected elders in the church stood up. He said that he had been longing for something like this for years because he was lonely. And he said this, he said, "I don't have any friends. Every man in this room who is my age knows what I'm talking about. Our social upbringing has taught us not to talk about our feelings. We are not supposed to be emotionally vulnerable or close to anyone except our wives or partners." Well, the congregation was shocked to hear this. They saw him as a beloved pillar of the church. And Thandaica says that she could feel his vulnerability. She could feel his vulnerability because, she says, his heart spoke the hidden language of her own heart, loneliness. She said, "My own social upbringing had taught me not to talk about my feelings to anyone. I had learned to be emotionally invulnerable and closed to everyone. But now, here in the midst of this gathered community, someone so much like myself had stepped forward and said, 'I'm lonely.' Beloved pillars of the church can be lonely too. Beloved pillars of the church can struggle to be vulnerable. The person sitting next to you or in front of you or behind you today may sometimes feel lonely or sad. Who among us doesn't sometimes have those feelings? Someone sitting near you may feel lonely or sad even as they're laughing or smiling. Maybe they need someone else to open up to them to help them be more open. This religious community, this congregation, strives to be a place where we can open up, where we can bring who we are, our joys, our heartache, the mistakes, our uniqueness. This community strives to be a place where you can rest from the world's pressures to curate the perfect self. My hope for this congregation and for each of you is that here we can deepen the practice of being vulnerable. Today, after worship, even during worship, is a great time to practice. Sing out if you're not the person who's used to singing out. Or during coffee hour, or right after service, seek out one person. See, we don't have to make it too big, right? Seek out one person who you don't know or you don't know well. Allow yourself to be a little bit vulnerable with that person. Try sharing something simple, not a deep, dark secret. But you might share something about today's worship service. Often we don't know what to say to someone we don't know, right? Like, how do we begin? I don't know what to say. Sometimes we quiz each other, which I'm not sure is necessarily always the best thing. Where do you live? What did you, right? And we can exhaust someone else by our barrage of nervous questions. But what if instead we shared a little bit with someone else? What if we said, that story today really touched my heart. I love that song, How Can Anyone? Maybe it's this view, this gorgeous view out of the windows here. that you might say, I love coming to this church because I get to look outside while I'm experiencing worship and connect to nature. Find some small way of sharing with someone else. Like Lamont, I wonder, I ask, who cares? In the great big scheme of things, this spiritual community cares. This community cares an awful lot. We care about being a true community of welcome, where no one ever tells us that we are anything less than beautiful. May we dare to be people who are beautifully vulnerable and beautifully whole. May it be so. Amen. And blessed be.
Before we do joys and sorrows, I'd just like to make sure that everybody looks at the new member or the new guest. Look at the back of the program. If you're a guest this morning, we welcome you and invite you to sign our guest book in the lobby and indicate if you wish to receive our newsletter. I want to make that point. And membership in our church is established by a commitment to the principles, purposes, and the desire to participate in our community rather than established by affirmation or creed. So I felt like I had to say that this morning. Joys and concerns. We now invite you to open your hearts to each other and take a moment to reflect on our joys and sorrows. Please feel free to come forward to light a candle, place a stone in the water, or write a message. As you come up, use the middle aisle and return along the sides. Those online are invited to type in your joys or sorrows into the chat. Written messages should indicate if you do not wish your message to be read. Spoken or unspoken, your joys and sorrows is held in our thoughts and prayers.
And we place one more stone in our community bowl for all the joys and sorrows that have not been spoken but are held tenderly in our hearts. And I share with you these joys. Laura Trimble shares that her daughter Haley won first place in skating competition this weekend. And Karen and Ed Sykes share that their granddaughter Brianna Hayes' group in the Science Olympiad will be going on to the state competition. All right. And that's okay. And the group from Brianna's school in Middletown placed in the top 8 schools. So that's pretty awesome. And Dorothy Brown has asked or offered an opportunity for sharing and being vulnerable this morning. There's a writing group. If anyone's interested, you may see Dorothy. Dorothy, can you give us a little hand so people know where you are? You can see her after church. Let's join now in a spirit of meditation to hold these joys and sorrows together. Do you feel that? Each breath, every inhale, every exhale, we are living, breathing, connected. We are the whole, complete, beautiful selves that we were born to be. Do you feel that? In your bones, in your muscles, in your heart and blood. This is the extraordinary you. The you who was born for this time, this place, this moment. Do you feel that? The struggle, the worry, the pain, the loss, the grief. It is still you. You are still whole, complete, beautiful, extraordinary. Feel that. Let us hold this meditation in a moment of silence.
The church shares this month's offering with Rebuilding Together Greater Harrisburg. The Unitarian Church is always a freely gathered church of free people. The church is created and sustained and supported by you. Each month, we share half our Sunday plate with a local nonprofit for the month of March. UCH will share the plate with Rebuilding Together Greater Harrisburg. For the past 25 years, RTGH has been providing free home repairs and modification services to local low-income homeowners as the elderly, disabled, families with children, and veterans in Dauphin County, Cumberland County, Perry County, and Upper York counties. For those who wish to contribute online, please see the email with a link for today's service, or visit uchbg.org homepage for options for contributing. For those who are here in the sanctuary, the collection plates will be passed around by today's ushers. Your financial support and commitment matter. Please consider giving what you are able.
Ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. There's a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in.
Please join us in the reading of the unison affirmation. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And our closing hymn will be 311. Let it be a dance we do.
Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Song be heard. Play the music, say the words, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let your body learn to bend, and like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance, let it be a dance, let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time for cry. And round and round as the sisters fly. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Morning star comes out at night. Without the dark there is no light. If nothing's wrong then nothing's right. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let the sunshine, let it rain. Share the laughter, bear the pain. And round we go again. Let it be a dance. Dance we do. May I have this dance with you. Through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Star comes in.
You would have danced forever. Friends, let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do together, you do together, being vulnerable, beautifully vulnerable, being whole. And let's have fun doing it. Amen. Blessed be.